Okay, have and have not fans, this video is going to be on the war that is on the horizon. And honestly, I really already went into great detail about this scenario in a previous video about is a war between Mama Rose and Warlock on the horizon. And again, I believe that was part 3 of my Jim is Screwed series. You can find a link to that video in the top right hand corner, clicking on the little icon there. And I'm really excited to see that that theory is coming to light because I predicted this way back when. It was probably around maybe a year ago when we learned that Mitch was a Malone. And even before we learned that he was a Malone, you knew that something between him and Warlock wasn't, clean. There was some dirt between those two. And now we know why. So honestly, the preview kind of gave us just a little bit more intel about what's going down. You have Mama Rose on the phone, who is most likely talking with Mitch, because again, remember when Benny was pretty much in a bad spot trying to get that $2 million to save his home, Candace's home, the tow company. Mitch was like, "Dude, we're not doing it. My family, that's blood money. As soon as you get your hands on that money, if you don't pay it back, that's not just your life on their hands, it's your entire family. It's like they will kill you and your family." So pretty much that was a no-no. They were not going to touch that money. They were not going to ask, I guess you could say they're not going to ask the Malones for help. And with that being said, given the fact that they're in a situation where they almost died, and again, I really can't see why Warlock, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Warlock and, yeah, I think a few of his guys pulled out guns and started shooting. Nobody could hit Benny and Mitch. They were literally less than maybe 15 feet away from him. They were near the bed, like the front door of the motel room, and Mitch and Benny were like in the kitchen area. And they dodged all those bullets, pulled up the mattress, and blocked them or protected themselves before they ran out due to the cops' sirens in the distance. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but I'm just thinking back to that scene in my head. Like, that made no sense how Benny and Mitch weren't even armed. So why didn't they kind of like run towards those two while shooting? Hey, I don't know. It's the plot. It's the plot. I wouldn't say that Warlock is a bad shot. I'll say that his gun had plot bullets in them, so they were destined to miss. So, but let me stop laughing. Okay, so basically, due to the fact that those two almost got killed, Quincy Jr. is dead. I'm willing to think that Mitch and Benny figure they have no choice, so they call it the Malones. Where maybe Benny isn't the one that suggested, but Mitch is like, "Hey man," because remember Mitch is in the room too, so he saw Hannah come out of the room with Quincy Jr. So I assume that Mitch goes out to make that phone call, tells Mama Rose what happened. She ain't having it because again, like I even suggested in my previous video, Mama Rose is going to be mad not only because Mitch was almost killed, but because his honest way of living has been ruined. Because remember, he told I believe it was David. She told David when she made him turn back the phones, turn the phones back on to the tow company, that's her grandson. He isn't about the mob life. He wants to make an honest living. So hey, he wants to be a tow truck driver, work at a company, make a legit living. And then if she finds out that his way of making a straight living has been terminated due to the actions of Benny's sister Candace, in order to get the money to pay this Warlock who almost killed her grandson, and again, I feel like Jim is going to be tied into this somehow, she ain't going to be too happy. And again, remember that Jim said to Mama Rose at this table, and again, this table, I highly doubt that is at the hotel where Jim is meeting David. I feel like it's at the restaurant. Remember, Mama Rose kept asking Jim, "Hey, when are you going to come over to the restaurant?" So we've always wondered what this restaurant is. The fact that at that time Jim was making this campaign for running for governor, he wasn't about going there because he said, "Hey, I can't go there. I'm running for governor." That leads me to believe that this restaurant really isn't a place where the haves want to be seen, so to speak. So, given the fact that he's pretty much lost everything at this point, his daughter, his credibility, being arrested on live television, and his wife putting it, filing for basically he's lost everything at this point. I think that he'll go to that restaurant to kind of talk with Mama Rose. I don't know if he's going there because he has a problem or if Mama Rose calls, Jim there to say, hey, can you come see me? And then that's when they had that conversation where Jim is like, if you choose to go down this path, it will destroy me. I don't know what that relates to. I mean, again, it could go to the whole, hey, you know what, Jim, we've helped you out enough. I need your, no, well, actually, I don't think that's, her asking for a price. It's probably, hey, I've asked enough. You've already lost everything. Come to the restaurant to see me. And then she goes into detail about the whole scenario with her grandson almost being killed, because again, I feel like Mama Rose is going to have a chip on her shoulder, because remember back in season 2, she wanted to kill Candace. She's like, well, you never let us have any fun. You're taking the fun out of it. And then Jim's like, well, it's more fun than being in jail. So I feel like, she might have a little bit of a side eye to Jim. It's like, hey, if you let me kill this bitch when I wanted to, none of this would have happened. She does have a point, because again, if Candace got killed by the Malones back in season 2, a lot of things that happened up until that point may not have happened. Like, Jim and Catherine would have been easy. Without Candace there, it would have been easier for them to get Amanda to move back home. Again, it would have been a problem, though, because she might have still shot herself. Remember, Catherine kept saying to put her in an asylum, but Jim didn't want to do it. So maybe things would have played out differently. When Quincy Jr. was found, maybe he wouldn't have been put in a near-death situation. And again, the list, that's just a whole another rabbit hole of what if, so I don't really want to go into that in this video. So I'm really wondering how things are going to play out, because we do have a scene where, I'm pretty sure Mama Rose, all of her connections, she knows about who Warlock is, as well as his crew. So that gang war, I feel like it's going to be foreshadowed at the beginning of this next season. It probably won't come to fruition until maybe the mid-season finale, the season finale, or next season. I feel like that would be one hell of a season finale. I really want it to be a season finale, as long as they don't drag it out, but at the same time they do a lot of building. Everybody getting their chess pieces on the board, and then they're having an all-out battle, because I feel like that would be a interesting battle, not just because of the whole gang on gang. It's the casualties, because again, when it comes down to it, you have Warlock, but can you name 3 members of his crew? I don't think so. When it comes to Mama Rose, can you name 3 members of her crew? No. So those nameless henchmen might be killed off, someone might be injured, some might, by being shot, but I wonder if some of the main cast members might be mixed up into it somehow, because I still think that when it comes down to Wyatt's dealer, I feel like he might have gotten his stash and supply from Warlock. I think his name was Jeremy, I think. Wait, no, actually it wasn't Jeremy. That's my name. I'm sorry. I feel like he had the same book bag I do. That's why I related my name to his. That's what it is. He had the same book bag I had. I was like, what the heck? I don't carry drugs in that. Well, I don't have drugs anyway. I'm sorry. I just made a little joke there. Basically, I feel like that would be an interesting way of connecting Wyatt to, Warlock, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Jim's case is the fact that, oh, I'm sorry, here's one thing I skipped. I think Mama Rose might be mad at Jim, not just because of the whole Candace thing, but if she finds out that Warlock got out of jail due to Jim's actions. Because remember, when Mitch got arrested and went to jail, he saw Warlock and was talking shit. And then Warlock was like, oh, I want to be getting out of here real soon. I have connections. Next thing you know, he's out. But Mitch doesn't know that it was Jim Cryer to get Warlock out of there. So Mama Rose being Mama Rose, it would not surprise me if she finds out that, Jim was the one to get Warlock out, or heck, maybe that the restaurant, casually speaking, and then Jim mentions it, and then Mama Rose goes off the deep end, and that's why she might not care about Jim being destroyed if Mama Rose goes down the route she plans on going, which involves, going after Warlock. Because again, there are so many factors that play into that. What does Jim mean by being destroyed? If Warlock gets killed, or finds out that Mama Rose works with Jim, would he put out the photos and videos that he has that he said he would destroy? I don't know. I feel like Warlock did destroy those photos and whatnot, because he said when he got out of jail, if Jim got him out of jail, he would get rid of that stuff. But remember that the new DA has those items from Candace's house, so Jim is still screwed with that. I mean, again, that's why I did a 3-part series, Jim is screwed. So there are many ways this could go down. And I just hope that if they do it right, because again, this is a big event that can turn the tide of Savannah, Georgia. I mean, we've seen battles between the halves themselves, but when you get down to the nitty gritty, when you have like the Malones, a big mob-like organization. And if I'm not mistaken, the Malones were in the plot for the movie Medea's Witness Protection Program, I believe. That was I mean, I watched that movie maybe once. I actually bought it in the $5 bin at Walmart. I didn't think it was a bad movie. Honestly, it was pretty funny. I know a lot of people would say, that movie wasn't really that good. I thought it was pretty good for what it was. And again, the fact that the Malones were mentioned in there. This is a video, all right, not to jump off subject. This is a video idea I was thinking about doing maybe 2 years ago, but I didn't do it because I felt like it was too much work. But given the fact that we've had so much expansion in the Tyler Perry verse, so to speak, would you be interested? And again, this is just a little side note here. Would you potentially be interested if I did some kind of video where I do like a theory where maybe the have and have, like the Tyler Perry shows and movies are connected? I don't know. Maybe that's too much of a long shot or a stretch. I know there's one guy who went to college with me at Liberty University. He got famous for the Pixar theory, where he went into detail about how all the Pixar movies were connected. I think that it will be kind of tougher with the Tyler Perry work because he has movies, plays, and TV shows, and some of the characters are given different names, different relationships. Like literally, Cora from the plays, as well as like Meet the Browns. There are way too many connections there. So you know what? Let me just kind of put a pin in that theory. I'll make another video. I'll make a separate video where I go into more detail on this, and you let me know if you want to hear about it. So let me bring this particular video to a close. The gang war that's on the horizon. How would you want it to play out? When would you want it to happen? And if somebody had to die, who would you want it to be and why? And also, Jim being destroyed by Mama Rose engaging in a war with Warlock. How do you think Jim will be destroyed by that? So again, that's a lot to think about, but really we have time. June 20th won't be here for another about 3.5 weeks. So I'm going to bring this video to a close, but as always, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.